good evening. Welcome back to Snorewood. The date is a Saturday in late July. The time as we begin is 7:45 in the evening. The sun is still technically present, low, stretched out over the lake, doing that thing it does in late July, where it seems reluctant to commit to setting, as though it's aware the days are getting shorter and is resisting the implication. The air is warm, properly, uncomplicatedly warm. The kind of warm that doesn't ask anything of you. You don't have to dress for it, or plan around it, or make decisions because of it. It's just there, and you're in it, and that's fine. The farmer's market closed at 2. The beach was full this afternoon. The July tourists, as Bev calls them, the main wave of them, here in their fullness now, their beach chairs and their sunscreen, and their willingness to stand in lines for things. The Ouellette's Butter Tart line peaked at 11 at 17 people, which is a Saturday record. The Ouellette who manages the line. The 17-year-old, whose name is Gabrielle, was managing it with an efficiency and a certainty that several people in the line privately found both impressive and slightly chastening. I should tell you about the library talk. I know you've been waiting. I've been building up to it, I'll admit. Partly because I want to describe it accurately. And accuracy requires a little distance. And partly because something happened at the talk that I'm still thinking about. And when I'm still thinking about something, I find it's better to wait until it's settled before I try to put words around it. It's settled enough now. We'll get to it. But first, Nick. We should start with Nick and the Butter Tarts, because it happened this morning and it informs everything about his evening, and Nick's evening is worth arriving at with full context. Nick Petroff set his alarm for 9:15. This is significant because Nick works the overnight shift, which means he typically sleeps until 11 or noon, and setting an alarm for 9:15 on a Saturday represents, for Nick, a genuine sacrifice. He did not make this decision lightly. He made it at 2 a.m. on Friday, standing at the dispatch station window, looking at the dark town, thinking of the Ouellette conversation from last month, the 17-year-old, every year since 1987. He set the alarm. He wrote in the log, tomorrow, Butter Tarts, 10:45. Plenty of time. He arrived at the market at 10:52. Nick, narrating to himself, the way he narrates the log, which has become the way he processes things.
10:52. 8 minutes of margin. I can see it from here. There's a line. The line is maybe. Okay, the line is longer than I expected. But I've got 8 minutes. 8 minutes is...
Nick joins the line and begins counting.
12 people ahead of me. The line is moving. The line is definitely moving.
The line starts moving, Nick quietly to the person ahead of him, a woman in a blue hat.
Fine. Sorry, do you know how many they usually have? Butter tarts, I mean. How many they bring?
Oh, they sell out fast. I usually get here by 10.
By 10. I was told 11.
11 would be... yeah, you'd be cutting it close. Sometimes 10:45 even. Depends on the week.
With the quiet devastation of a man who has done the math. Nick stays in line. At 11:04, Nick reached the front of the line. He had watched from position 12 each person ahead of him receive their items. He had observed, with increasing focus, the tray of butter tarts he had counted. There were, at position 12, 11 butter tarts remaining, a comfortable margin. At position 7, a man in a tragically hip t-shirt, a local. Clearly, Nick recognized him from somewhere, maybe the hardware store, ordered 4. Nick did not say anything. He did not calculate. He chose not to calculate. At position 4, a woman with a wagon, and 3 children ordered 6. Nick, at the front of the line, to Gabrielle Ouellette, who has the expression of someone who has had this conversation before.
How many?
1.
$4.
Can I ask you something? What time do I need to be here for a reasonable selection?
10.
10. Your colleague, the woman last month,
My aunt.
your aunt said 11.
My aunt is an optimist. 10. 10 is safe. 9:30 if it's a holiday weekend. 9 if you want choice.
9. I set my alarm for 9:15.
That's really not bad, honestly.
I thought 10:52 was fine.
See you at 9 next week. You'll have your pick.
Nick ate the butter tart on a bench near the entrance to the market. He ate it slowly, with the care of someone who is aware they are eating a singular object, and did not rush, and didn't even check his phone. He sat in the July morning on a bench in a parking lot that was, for these 4 months, not a parking lot, and ate the one butter tart, and had earned through an alarm and 11 months of intention. Later, that it was the best thing he had eaten in Snorewood. It was worth the 11 months. He said, I understand now why people set their alarms. Nick, to himself, I set mine for 9 o'clock for next week. Then, with the solemnity of someone who has been changed by an experience and is willing to admit it, I think I might set it for 8:45, just to have margin. Welcome to Snorewood, Nick. You're one of us now. The Snorewood Public Library is a building from 1962 that was expanded in 1989 and renovated in 2011, and which has, despite these various interventions, maintained a coherence of character that I find admirable and that I attribute largely to Patricia Sondergaard, who understands that a library is not primarily a building or a collection, but a permission. A standing permission issued to everyone to come in and be somewhere and think. Patricia arranged 40 chairs in the reading room. She put a small podium at the front. She made tea and put it on a table at the back with a plate of, I want to note this, Ouellette shortbread, which Patricia orders specially for library events and which represents, in my view, the library's highest form of institutional hospitality. At 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon in mid-July, 37 people came to hear me talk about Snorewood. 37. I want to tell you who was there, because the who matters. Bev was in the 3rd row, on the aisle, with a small notebook that I noticed and that she would deny having if I mentioned it. So I'm telling you, but I won't mention it to her. Doug was near the back, in the seat closest to the window, which looks out at the library's small garden, and through which he could see, if he turned his head, a sliver of lake. He turned his head once early on, and then didn't again. Sandra Pham was there, sitting beside Phil Nguyen from the committee, who had a coffee in a drowsy bean cup. Terry Bouchard was in the front row. Maureen came in at 2:05 and sat near the back, and I saw her and she gave me a nod, the particular Maureen nod, which means, I'm here, I support this, don't make it a thing. I didn't make it a thing. Priya was in the middle, on the right side, and she had her notebook too, the real one, the one with the yoga sequences and the coffee notes and the deck calculations. She had a page open. She was ready. Nick came in just before I started. He sat in the last remaining seat near the door, still slightly damp from a post-butter tart walk on the beach that had apparently been longer than planned. Danny came with Maureen. They sat together. Danny had a notebook. All these people with their notebooks, I thought. Bev has taught this town well. I looked at them. 37 people on a Saturday afternoon in July when they could have been at the beach. 37 people who know this town. And I thought, I don't need to tell them anything about Snorewood. They know Snorewood. They're living it. What I can do, the only thing I can do that they can't do themselves, is show them what it looks like from outside, from the historical distance, from the perspective of someone who has been paying attention for a very long time and writing things down. I said, the history of Snorewood begins with the lake. Everything else comes after the lake. Then I talked for 55 minutes. I'm not going to reproduce the whole talk. If you want the full version, Volume 3 of the history will cover most of it. Publication date to be determined. Available through me directly. But I want to tell you what I said near the end, because it's what I've been thinking about since. I said, I have been the historian of this town for 22 years, and in that time I have made what I now believe is a fundamental error, which is that I have been looking for events, for the significant moments, the founding, the flood of 1923, the expansion of the library, the roundabout, and those things matter. I've documented them. I'll continue to document them, but I've come to believe, recently, this year, that the history of a town is not its events, it's its texture, the accumulated evenings. The same walk taken 11 years in a row, the recipe you don't change because it was your mother's, the book you put on the shelf for whoever needs it, the coffee you make that has no name but that tastes like being indoors when it's cold outside. These are not the things that appear in municipal records. They're not in the Gazette. Nobody is taking minutes of them. But they are the town. They are, if I'm being precise about it. And I have spent 22 years trying to be precise about this town. They are what Snorewood actually is. On the inside. When you're inside it, I said, I want to write that history, not instead of the other one, alongside it. The history of the ordinary evenings. And then I sat down. "37 people. They were quiet for a moment after I finished. The particular quiet of a room that is deciding how to respond. And then Patricia Sondergaard started the clapping, and everyone joined. And it was a Saturday afternoon in July in a library in Snorewood, Ontario, and 37 people were clapping. I have given talks at the Rotary Club and the Horticultural Society and a bachelorette event. This was different. Bev came up to me after. She didn't say much, she doesn't. She put her hand on my arm for a moment and she said, "Write the other history, Gerald." "The texture one," I said. "I'm trying to." She said, "You're doing it already." I thought about that for a while. I'm still thinking about it. Now Terry Bouchard. I mentioned that something was coming. Something that Bev has described as ambitious. After the library talk, Terry lingered. He is a lingerer, after meetings, after events, after anything that has given him an idea, which is most things. He waited until most people had gone, and then he came up to me with the expression he gets when he has recently had a thought that he considers significant.
Gerald, the history of the ordinary evenings. I want to do something with that. Maybe a monument. Not a big monument. A modest monument. Something on the waterfront. Something that acknowledges the texture. Honors it. I think I'm going to form a subcommittee to study this. He
sent the subcommittee email at 9:47 p.m. that Saturday. It had 14 bullet points. The subject line was New Initiative, Subcommittee on Civic Texture and Memory. Exciting opportunity. Please advise availability. Sandra Pham read it at 10 o'clock. She sat with it for a moment, then she typed back, I'll chair it. 6 bullet points maximum per email going forward. Terry sent a reply immediately. Agreed, enthusiastically. Can we discuss bullet point limits at the first meeting? Sandra typed, That's a conversation, not a bullet point. Tuesday at 7. I've agreed to be an advisor to the subcommittee. I want to be clear that I have no idea what a monument to civic texture looks like, and I'm not sure Terry does either. But I'm curious. In Snorewood, curiosity usually goes somewhere interesting. Slowly and with more emails than necessary. But somewhere interesting. The pier, the lake. Evening. Warm. The quality of a summer lake at 8:15. Doug in his element, the notebook open, the binoculars up.
Saturday. Late July, 8:17. Warm night. Warmest of the season so far, I think. The air and the lake have come to an agreement about temperature tonight. Usually there's a difference. The lake runs cooler than the air, sometimes significantly. Tonight they're the same. You can't tell where one ends and the other begins, just by feel. Color, summer blue-green, full version, the deepest color the lake does. On the scale of lake colors, and I've been keeping that scale for 11 years now, this is the top of the range. The color it gets in late July and early August on a clear, warm day that has had a chance to settle into the evening. 10 out of 10 for color, first 10 for color. I don't give 10s, the lake earned it. Look at that. Choppiness, 2 almost flat. A long, gentle swell, maybe 18 inches. The kind of swell you don't notice until you're on the water, and then you notice it as a rhythm, he decided. 6, clean and warm. The warm version of the lake smell, which is different from the cold version. Lighter, less deep, a little like sunshine on water, which I know is not a precise description. But I've been doing this long enough to know that some things resist the precise description, and the best you can do is approach them from the side. I've been thinking about the library talk. I've been thinking about what Gerald said, the texture of the ordinary evenings, the history of the same walk taken 11 years in a row. He was talking about me, partly. I know that, he didn't say my name, but 11 years. 2000 and I worked it out. 2047 evenings, give or take the head cold. People ask me sometimes why I come every evening, what I'm looking for. Whether I'm doing research, or whether there's something meditative about it, or whether I just don't have anything else to do, which is the rudest version of the question, and has been asked twice, once by a tourist and once by my brother-in-law, who I've forgiven because he didn't mean it unkindly. He just doesn't understand. What do I tell them? I tell them I'm keeping track, but that's the short answer. The short answer fits in a conversation. The longer answer is that the lake is different every evening. I have never rated the same lake twice. In 11 years and 2047 evenings, the lake has not repeated itself. It cannot repeat itself. It's too large and too alive and too connected to too many things. The wind, the temperature, the season, the storms moving through, the light, the particular quality of each day's ending, for it to be the same twice. And I thought, if the lake can do 2,000 evenings without repeating itself, then there's no such thing as an ordinary evening. Not really. There are evenings that seem ordinary. There are 5s and 6s that feel like 5s and 6s. But they're not the same 5. They're not the same 6. Every one of them is its own. The 10 for color tonight, first time. After 11 years. You have to show up every evening to be there for the 10. That's the whole thing. That's the only trick. Overall tonight, the lake is an 8, I know. You might expect a 10 for color to lift the overall, but the overall is its own thing. The 10 for color is part of it. The 2 for choppiness is part of it. The 6 for smell, the warmth of the air, the way it's all sitting together tonight. Tonight is an 8. A warm, full arrived 8, a summer 8. The color is a 10. The evening is an 8. Both are true.
He stays at the end of the pier for a long time. He doesn't write anything else. He just looks at the 10 for color lake in the July evening, to the lake eventually, quietly.
2048 tomorrow.
He stays for 34 minutes. When he walks back up the beach, he stops where he always stops, where the sand meets the path, and he looks back. Tonight he looks back for a little longer than usual. Then he goes home. Bev is home. She was at the library this afternoon. Not for the talk, though she came to the talk, but afterward she went back to the shop and stayed until 7, because the tourists on a July Saturday need someone who knows where things are. She sold 23 books today, her highest Saturday of the summer, among them 4 copies of Charlotte's Web, 2 of The Wind in the Willows, 1 copy of A Room with a View. Who picked it up and read the first page, and then read the second page, and then bought it without looking up. The way books should be bought, Bev thinks. She's in the chair now. The lamp is on. Outside, the July evening is still warm. She can hear, just barely, the sound of the lake, which you can hear from her house on quiet evenings if the conditions are right. Tonight the conditions are right. She's reading. She won't tell me what. I've asked. She's declined. She says her own reading is private. Fair enough. She gives enough recommendations. She's allowed to keep one. She did say one thing when I asked her about the library talk. She was at the counter, a customer nearby, so she said it quietly, which is the only way Bev says important things. She said, "The texture history is the only history worth writing. The rest is just dates." I wrote that down. I always write Bev down. Priya, on the phone with Marcus, who is home with the children.
I know. I'm leaving now. I'm just doing the floor. Yes, I saw your message. The deck permits came through. Marcus, I know I said I'd think about it. I thought about it. I thought about it for 2 months. You know what I decided? Yes, I decided yes. I said yes last week, Marcus. I'm saying yes again. I know, I heard you. You said you were excited. You said you were very excited. You said it 4 times. I know. I'm excited too. The deck is going to be good. I think it's going to be really good. Tell Asha her shin pads are. Actually, no. Tell her to find her own shin pads this time. She knows where they go. I'll be home in 15 minutes. Love you.
She hangs up. She takes a long pause. The studio around her. The wood floor she's just mopped, the plants, the west windows with the last of the July light.
Good day. Good day.
She said it differently tonight. Not different words, the same words. But something in the emphasis, not good day, the reassurance. Not the daily ritual of convincing herself. Just good day. The statement, the fact. I notice these things. It's my job to notice the shifts in the ordinary, the places where something has quietly changed. Priya came to Snorewood to learn how to stop. She told me that. She said it in the interview for Volume 3, and I wrote it down slowly. I think she's learning. I think she might be done learning it, actually. I think she might just be doing it now. Nick, the log. His voice has something settled in it tonight. Something that's been there since the Butter Tart, since Gabrielle, since 9 o'clock on a bench in a parking lot.
Saturday, July 26th. One butter tart. I want to document this properly. One butter tart. The last one. Eaten on a bench outside the market at 11:06 a.m. in July morning sun. Still slightly warm from wherever they'd been kept. It was, I'm going to use the word transcendent, which I'm aware is a strong word for a baked good, but I stand by it. There was something about the combination of circumstances. The alarm, the walk, the line, the 12-to-1 reduction, the last one, that made it more than itself. Or maybe it's just a really good butter tart. Maybe both things are true. I went to the library talk. Gerald. I'm going to call him Gerald, I've decided. He asked me to call him Gerald 4 months ago, and I've been saying Mr. Fitch because I wasn't sure. And tonight, I'm sure. Gerald talked about the texture of the ordinary evenings. About how that's the real history. I've been writing a log for 11 months. Almost a year. I started the log because the overnight shift is quiet, and I needed something to do with my hands and my mind at 2 in the morning. It was just notes at first. The alarm time, the weather, what I could hear from the window. But it became something else. It became, I don't know. It became the record of what Snorewood is like when you're paying attention. The raccoon and the stars and the lake, by Sound and Maureen's storm drink and the heron rock on my desk. Gerald is writing the history of the ordinary evenings. I think I've been writing it too, badly. And for an audience of one and in a dispatch log, which is maybe not the intended medium. But I've been writing it. Town is warm tonight. Late July Snorewood. The tourists are here in full. You can tell by the sound. The way the evening takes a little longer to quiet down. The voices on the lakefront path going until 10 instead of 9. I don't mind it. The town has room. Also, I met Gabrielle Ouellette this morning, and I want to note for the record that she runs the tightest operation at the market. Clear communication, zero sentimentality, completely correct about everything. She should be running something larger, but I hope she doesn't leave Snorewood because the Butter Tart situation would deteriorate. 9:47 p.m., town quiet or quieting. Lake tonight by Sound, 8. The warm, flat summer version. The sound of the lake when it's not doing anything dramatic and doesn't need to. Next Saturday, 9 o'clock, 8:45. Just to have margin. Storage unit 14. The barometric pressure is stable. The air is warm. I genuinely don't expect it tonight. I've started to worry a little when it doesn't come. Which is a thing I did not predict about myself. One butter tart. Next week. Choice.
The town. Nick on his bench in the morning sun. Me at the podium. Bev in her chair. Priya saying it like a fact. Terry forming a subcommittee. Maureen in her corner. Doug at the end of the pier looking back. All of them in the same evening. All of them in the same town. All of them part of the texture, the history of the ordinary evenings. The lake was an 8 tonight. The color was a 10. Both things true. Bev says the texture is the only history worth writing. Doug says you have to show up every evening to be there for the 10. Nick says 9 o'clock. 8:45, just to have margin. I've been writing the history of Snorewood for 22 years. I think I finally found the beginning. Good night, Snorewood. Good night. And now in Snorewood, the lights are low, the streets are quiet, and the lake has gone still. Good night.